Like, can I hit you up? No, you cannot hit me up. If you're wondering where I've been, I don't know what to tell you. I was dying. I had an ear infection, and then I have this thing called a job, employment. So yeah, that's where I've been. Nothing glamorous, nothing crazy. Anyways, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mo, short for Prozac Melatonin Gummies. Those aren't real, but that's what I'm named after. And today we're doing a video similar to my Batman pipeline video, but I'm hotter. Oh wait, I have to push my bangs aside. So yeah, get ready with me. I don't have a date today, sadly, because me and my boyfriend broke up. My boyfriend from that video, yeah, you know the one. We broke up. Very tragic, very sad. Anyways, but I felt that this was an interesting topic to, like, talk about, because I think I have an interesting perspective. So the topic, which I probably is already in the title, I don't know what I'm going to title this, is about what is it like, oh my gosh, what is it like being really, like being AFAB, which is, if you didn't know, stands for assigned female at birth. What is it like having a uterus in a mostly penis-dominated fandom? Well, I can tell you right about that, because I've had some weird interactions. I've had some weird, like, just things happen to me. So yeah, let's talk about that. So in my video I did previously in this similar format, I talked about how I never really got into comics until like 14, because I saw comics as like for boys, which I wasn't too far off. I think a majority of comic book fans are boys. I've met more men who are into comic books than girls, and that's just how it is. Most writers you see, at least for DC comics that I've seen, at least Batman comics, it's usually male writers and artists who are working on that stuff, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But objectively, this is a male-dominated fandom. And when you're not a guy in this fandom, there's some weird people. Not all people. Gotta say this. Not all comic book fans are like this. I feel like when you talk about things like that, you have to say this is not all men, because some people really do take it as like an offense to them as like a person. Like, you're talking about them. No, babes, you're not in that group. You're not. You're fine. Just because you're not in that group, though, doesn't mean that these guys don't exist, okay? So, being AFAB in a space dominated by men is weird, and I keep restating that, but let me explain. Since starting my YouTube channel, which it's only been like 4 months, I have gotten a lot of comments from, like, grown men, which, like grown men who are probably, like, 12 years my senior grown, you know, like, way too old to be talking to me, hitting me up, or, like, going in my comments and being like, wow, my dream woman. Please don't ever do that. And I think I understand why that happens, but, like, also that's
crazy. Why would you say that?
I think that happens because people don't really, at least in my case, I think I see one girl for every 5 guys that are in, like, especially, like, DC's fandom, which is fine. But I think because of that, when, like, a girl comes along and, like, they know a lot about, like, DC comics or whatever, it's like a whoa kind of moment, like a wow, she's just like me. And I think it's also, like, guys who talk like that, I don't think get out a whole lot or are meeting a lot of girls, and because of that, I think it causes some, like, fun little interactions like that, where I think they genuinely, it's like, wow, this is, like, my dream woman. And oh, please, for the love of God, I don't want to be hit up. I'm not interested in dating. I'm not gonna date you. I'm not dating you, random man on the internet. One thing I've noticed in this fandom as well is that there's a lot of, like, I don't get taken seriously, I think sometimes. I think I've noticed people, I'll like, there's like a post and I'll make a post, and like I'll comment on a post, and people will then bring up something about like like about me or about like fan art I make, and like say it as like, oh, well, you're just like a cringe girl, so like you don't know what you're talking about because you're cringe. And I don't really think that works like that. Being in a fandom with a lot of men, I've gotten asked out a lot. I've gotten really strange comments. Unironically, on my first video, someone commented, "Finally, my dream woman." I'm not kidding. Someone unironically said, "My dream woman." I'm gonna put this out here. I'm not your dream woman because a lot of reasons. But another thing I've noticed is that I think the reason DC is so male dominated is because of their comics. Like, a lot of their comics, because they are written by men and drawn by men, for the longest time have had some pretty intense male gaze and sexualization of women, which is a discussion for another day about the sexualization of women in comics and the male gaze. I think my best example would be like early Starfire, especially in like the 2000s, is kind of diabolical. Her outfit, like, that's straight up no clothes, and it's because it's like fan service for the guys, which is fine, but you don't go, it has to be a two-way street, right? Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, she's a girl, so we're gonna give her no clothes. You have to do that to the guys too, okay? Like, put Superman in a G-string thong and then it's even, right? But they're not doing that. And honestly, I've gotten pretty good at sniffing out male gaze in comic books. You can just tell sometimes. Sometimes it's really obvious, sometimes it's not very obvious. But existing in a fandom like that is really weird. To exist in a space where you want to, like, enjoy a comic, and then the next thing you know, you're getting, like, an ass shot of a woman and you never asked for this. Or some of the worst writing I've ever seen. There was, like, a comic where I believe, Saint Silvermist, whatever the fuck her name is, was, like, engaged to Batman, and Alfred was like, why do you call him Two Fingers? And it was like a sex joke, and it's like, no woman would ever make that joke in front of the guy's like paternal figure, you know? It's just like these like really weird like men written by women sort of things, and that I think is also probably why there's not a lot of women into comic books, because that stereotype of sexualizing women really does exist, and that's not something a lot of people want to read. They don't really want to read and like consume media where women are being really sexualized, whether subtly or not so subtly, which is completely fair. Honestly, if I wasn't so invested in Batman as a character, I probably would have not read comic books. Like, if I hadn't been hooked because of the Matt Reeves movie, I literally would never have picked up a comic book, because that stereotype is a real thing, and it rings true. And even before I knew about comic books, I was like, oh yeah, male-gazing, pandering hellscape. It's not really as bad as it used to be. I would say nowadays it's a lot more chill. But back in the day, I think it was a lot worse. What do I mean back in the day? It was a lot worse. But I think that kind of is a big turn-off for other women. And then on top of that, the average comic book fan has a bad stereotype. Like if you were to tell me to stereotype the average comic book fan, I could give you exactly what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Discord mod energy. I'm giving Redditor, fat, middle-aged white man wearing like a Superman t-shirt, but it's a little too small so you can see his stomach hanging out. You know, like, that's what I'm imagining, right? And that's not exactly like a look that like makes a fandom look really good. If like the stereotype that people think of when they think of your fandom is like Redditor. And I know some people would probably be like, oh, what's bad about Reddit? It's not that, it's just like, from a girl's perspective, Reddit is kind of like, ooh, because it's, again, a very male-dominated, male-heavy place that, like, when I think about it, I think, like, incels, right? Like, I think involuntarily celibate people, which, by the way, that is what incel means. I'm surprised by the amount of people who don't know what incel means. My eye is watering because of my, whatever the hell this is called. I can't even remember. Eyelash curler. There we go. Fake woman incoming. I can't even remember the terminology of my makeup. Anyways, it's just so weird being into comics as an AFAB person, especially because a lot of people don't expect it either from me, because if you know how I dress, and you probably do if you're a reoccurring viewer on this channel, you would know I'm very girly. Objectively, if you were to see my closet, which you can, and I will not be giving a room tour anytime soon, my room is like a creative hellscape, and when I say creative, I mean messy. Creativity comes at a cost, and the cost is, a neat living environment. It's always a little chaotic. There's like piles of things because there's just too much going on in my brain. Whatever. Anyways, my closet, mostly pink, right? And so I think that also is something I've noticed, is because of how girly I am, people often either A, undermine what I know about comic books, or B, never expect me to be into comic books, which I think is like stereotyping, I guess. I don't know. I also think it's just surprising because I look so, like, chill. And then I open my mouth and I'm very nonchalant. And I'm the opposite of nonchalant. I am very chalant. I don't chill the fuck out. I can't chill the fuck out. It's horrible. I wish I could be normal. My friend who was in my last video, the Smash or Pass Batman one, yeah, he can tell you I'm very nonchalant, and I do have the craziest laugh ever. And by the craziest laugh ever, I mean it's a different laugh every time. I'm like a sound box for laughing. That's fun, I guess. But it's just like this like weird, like, I think because there's not a lot of women, when someone who is very feminine shows up in the space, it kind of knows what they're talking about. I wouldn't say I know what I'm talking about all the time. There's always room to learn. With a property that just turned 86 years old, no, there is always space to learn and grow, and I do not know everything there is to know about Batman, but I know pretty much more than, like, the average woman does, and so I think that makes me instantly more attractive, because it's like, wow, a woman who likes nerdy things like we do, that's so awesome. And it's like, yeah, that is awesome, but also, I'm a regular person, and you can talk to me normally. I think the best example of this is September 21st at my local comic book store. They did a Batman sale on stuff for Batman for, like, International Batman Day or whatever, which is September 21st. And, like, that's fine. But, aside from my two friends I dragged along and my mom who came with us because she was just like, sure, whatever, because we got lunch afterwards. It was an awesome sauce Saturday. And aside from me and my friends and like two other people, first of all, we were probably the only people in like the like 17 to 21 age bracket. But second of all, we were there was, including me, 3 people, 2 other people who were not me, who were not men, or like visibly presented as men. That's a kind of a crazy thing. One of my core memories from this experience actually was I was super excited, super ready. I had my makeup all done. I was going through these piles of comic books because the Batman ones were on sale, and I'm like going through them, and they're like older comics, and I fucking love an older comic. If you know me, you know I love fucking collecting vintage comics. That's my jam. That is my bread and butter. Anyways, this old man was next to me. When I say old, I mean full head of white hair. That's an old man. Just right next to me doing the same thing. And that made me realize how... That's my cat. That made me realize how, like, male-dominated this field is. Or not this field, male-dominated field. No, how dominated this fandom is by men. If, like, I'm realizing at this, like, event where there's all these Batman fans, if I'm, like, one of the only ones that's, like, a woman, that's kind of crazy. And not, like, in a good way. I like crazy in, like, a shockingly bad, not even bad, just shocking way of, wow, there's not a lot of feminine voices in this space, which, again, makes sense. Batman has really been a male-dominated thing for a long time. And the preconceived notion of Batman is that it's a thing for boys. When I was younger, I was socially conditioned to think it was a thing for boys, and I couldn't like it because it was for boys, and boy stuff is gross, and boys have cooties, which they do have cooties, but obviously that's not what we're talking about right now. Anyways, just the fact that, like, the stereotypes were true. And then what's even worse is I come into this space and I have some things to say, right? Like I have opinions. I'm here to talk about comics, but then I open my mouth and suddenly I'm getting these comments of people being like, "Can I hit you up?" No, you cannot hit me up. You cannot get in my DMs. We are here to talk about Batman media. What the hell? Where is your sense of decency, you know? Like, we're not here to idle chit-chat about going on a date. We're here to discuss We're here to discuss the ethics of being a crime-fighting vigilante in a bat fursuit that's made of, like, latex or something, right? Like, we have more important things to be talking about. And it's embarrassing that you want to get in my DMs. Because we're not doing that, babes. We're not. But I don't know. It's so weird to see this, you know, to see this world of, like, you're just trying to exist in a fandom and then people immediately open their mouths and are like, "Dream woman incoming. This woman is the best woman I have ever seen in my life. A true specimen. Knows what they're talking about." Please don't ever... Never, if you are socially nervous to talk to women and you're a nerd and you like nerdy things, I promise you, just talk to them like they're a normal person. I would much rather spend my time talking to somebody who wants to just have a genuine conversation about comic books than be called a female, right? Like, that's objectively the truth here. And I don't know. It's not anything crazy, I suppose. This video isn't anything crazy. It's just my experience. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just such a weird feeling to exist in a space that's mostly dominated by men. And then you come in, and all anyone ever wants to talk about with you is how beautiful you are, how you're their dream woman, or undermines your opinions because of how you look. And so it's like, you can't know these things just because I don't look the stereotype, you know? Like, it's, like, so weird. I guess it is kind of like sexism, maybe. I don't know. But it is weird, and I don't take no bull, so whatever. But, that's just my experience. I don't know if this is, like, too niche of a subject, or if it's an incredibly boring video. It could be really boring, considering that, like, I had this whole speech, and the speech just, like, fizzled out of my head. But I just needed to get something out. I do have some videos coming up. I have a comic overlay review coming up real soon. It's on my favorite comic, actually, which I'm really excited about that. I fucking love this comic so much. I'm not going to say which comic it is, though, because it'll be extremely obvious when I say it if you know who I am. Like, if you know, like, my preferences for comic book media. Anyways. And then after that, I have a few other videos, but, like, I don't want to discuss those. Those are top secret. And by top secret, I mean... they're not top secret, but I like to pretend they're top secret because this channel has 112 or 10 subscribers, and that really does not matter if it's top secret. Anyways, this is the makeup look. Can't really tell in my poor camera, but it is pretty, and my bun is really pretty. Teehee. Anyways, goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.